Welcome back to another edition of Music Monday. From the podcast Nurture the Mind, I am your host, Cole Poots, and we have yet again another music reaction. It feels like a lot of weeks are different. Sometimes they overlap, sometimes it's the same artist back-to-back weeks or similar artist back-to-back weeks. This is a new one. We got Knocked Loose, and the song is called Hive Mind, and it is featuring Denzel Curry. So Denzel Curry has been on the channel before a few times, but Knocked Loose, the band, has never been on the channel. Now, I don't really know a lot about Knocked Loose. I've listened to some of their stuff, but it's very minimal, it's very brief. I know that they are pretty heavy. I know that it's probably gonna be heavy, it's probably gonna be screaming. Some people don't like that style. I'm not gonna say it's what I listen to every single day, day in and day out, but it has a time and a place reserved in my heart. I love heavy music, I love heavy metal, and I like screaming for the most part. There are, I guess, maybe some bands where I'm like, gosh, that's all that you do? Can you evolve just a little bit? But my exposure to Knocked Loose is very minimal, but I know a lot about Denzel Curry, and he's a rapper. He has had so many songs. I've been a part of so many songs where you're like, okay, the way that he is spitting and flowing and at times screaming, you're like, Denzel could go do some heavy metal if he wanted to. And so I feel like this is him, maybe taking a stab at that, finally getting a chance to do that. So I'm really curious to see how this sounds, and who knows, maybe Knocked Loose will make me more of a fan. I think the way that I initially heard about them is I'm pretty sure maybe it wasn't them. There were a few bands that went on tour with A Day to Remember like years ago, and I had never heard of these bands before since they were on tour with A Day to Remember, and A Day to Remember is one of my favorite bands of all time. I checked out their stuff. I think one was Knuckle Puck, which I didn't really follow much after that. And then I think another one was Beartooth. And then it took me years later where I started diving into some of Beartooth's stuff, and specifically their last project that they put out, I really do like. Yeah, man, I'm totally curious. I have an idea of how this is gonna sound, but who knows? I could be blown away. It could be something completely different. We're also going to watch the music video. I'm looking at it right now, at least the starting scene, and I'm loving it already. They are I can't see the people, but the starting of the music video looks like it's at a skate park. It is a skate park, and then it's got all of this graffiti that goes throughout the skate park. So without further ado, it's Knocked Loose, Hive Mind, and we got Denzel Curry as the feature. Here we go. Oh, I was gonna skate right off the bat. Turn it up. Putting a record on, the record player. Oh shit. Yeah, it's heavy right off the bat. Oh, but then there's a beat. Kenny Beats. Dude, that was awesome. So off of the first listen, I was kind of thinking to myself, like, as the song was going on and it started with Knocked Loose and the lead singer, whatever his name is, I was like, okay, where is Denzel gonna come in during this song? How is it gonna be once he gets in there? Is it gonna be seamless? Is it gonna be a good transition? I'll be honest, the lead singer, I couldn't tell much of what he was saying, so I'm probably gonna go check out the lyrics. I could hear a little bit more of Denzel Curry. I would say his lyrics were a little bit more pronounced, like you could understand them a little bit more, because he wasn't screaming really. Like, he really just came in and had flows and had raps. But it's a good complement to what is already there with Knocked Loose, the screaming style of their singer, and then also just the instrumental, all the different instruments that they had. I mean, I was right. Like, it's a heavy song, it's a screaming song, and the music video is so cool because they're at this skate park and it's like they're putting on a show. They're putting on a concert, almost like a backyard DIY, build your own skate park type of setup like that. It's just cool. And that's one of the coolest things about this specific genre is they do a lot of shows like that. They love to get close to the fans. It's a lot different than what you would experience in a pop type of show. I highly doubt many pop artists are going to put on something like what we see in this music video. This is the type of music that you're going to get in a mosh pit for. Now, I have been to my fair share of concerts, but I've never really cared to get in the mosh pit. I think it was the one time that I went to go see A Day to Remember. I didn't get in the mosh pit, but there was like this circle pit that opened up and I was like on the edge of the circle pit. And so naturally it just like pulled me in for a second. And then after I was in there for a little bit, I was like, fuck that, I'm getting out of there, man. Because don't get me wrong, I understand why people do it. It's just like, I do not want to get hurt. But yeah, the music video was cool. One of the dudes is wearing a Philadelphia Eagles jersey. I'm pretty sure he was wearing a Saquon Barkley jersey. And you can just tell with this band, I don't know, I wonder if they're from the East Coast, if they're from Philadelphia. I mean, if they are, like, that would make sense. But no, it's just like this genre of music. It blends not only the music, but a lot of the bands and the artists that get into that genre, they also come from a skateboarding background and culture. So you can see, I mean, Denzel Curry, but the guys in the band, just like how they dress. Like, they have this skateboarder sort of thrasher appeal and fashion. And I appreciate that because, I mean, outside of my job being a personal trainer, like that's what I fucking dress like. Like this is Baker skateboards. I mean, I'm trying to remember where I got this one from. I think it was from the Honda Racing hat. Maybe I got it from Zoomies, but I got my corduroy pants right here, which are also from Zoomies. This is definitely skate culture right here. And then you got the classic old school Vans, which is obviously skateboarding, but you see the overlap of using these shoes in rap and hip hop culture as well. And then I got the Liquid Death socks. So I don't know. I just resonate with the music, the culture, the background, like all of it. And I love when two worlds, you know, mesh and collide. So to be in the metal category like Knocked Loose, but then you bring in a rapper, hip hop artist like Denzel Curry. But I imagine Denzel, I mean, he's totally influenced by this music just because he became a rap artist, a hip hop artist. It doesn't mean that he doesn't have appreciation for other styles of music. I mean, look what's going on right now with Post Malone. I mean, he definitely started his career in a totally separate lane, and now he's doing a lot of country stuff. But, you know, he just did a cover of Ozzy Osbourne. He got to collaborate with Ozzy Osbourne before Ozzy passed away. And so it's just going back to the age-old thing that I've said so many times is that if you're going to be a musician, if you're going to be an artist, if you're going to be a creative, I mean, you're going to have your influences, but it's also like you're never going to box yourself in. You always have to be willing to try something new, to try something different. So I love how they blended those two worlds together. Like Denzel fit in seamlessly. And why is it that a lot of times when, you know, say rock and roll, alternative rock, pop punk, heavy metal, whatever, when they do like a crossover, you know, into rapping, to hip hop, it's like, it just fits for some reason. I don't know why. It feels like those genres are just like synonymous with one another. And maybe it's because a lot of times what you see in rap and what you see in hip hop is just, you know, it could be heavy flows. It could be screaming a little bit. It could be in your face. It could be braggadocious. So those two worlds just blend together, you know, for some reason. And I have yet to figure out why, but yeah, dude, let's go check the lyrics real quick. Okay, so the intro says, "Fuck It Up" by Isaac Hale. Verse 1, Brian Garris, who must be the lead singer. "Do you feel shame when you're all alone? No sense of self or thoughts of your own. Pretend it's true, nothing less. Same old leech tied to me. Just a different fucking dress." What? What are you saying, bro? Garris is talking about someone who just mindlessly agreed with him and constantly changed themselves to seem more agreeable. Yeah, holy shit. Wow. I mean, I feel like that happens so much and so often in society. And why is that? I mean, this could go to a political rant, societal, cultural. I get really passionate when I talk about these things. If I ever listen to music that kind of provokes those details, subjects, topics to talk about. But my theory is that we are obviously propagated a whole lot. We've been conditioned to think in a certain way. They're calling the song Hive Mind. What is Hive Mind? From my understanding, Hive Mind is taking on the mindset of the hive, of the collective. So a bunch of people that think in unison and are told to think a certain way, and they're never able to break out of those chains. They don't realize how they've been conditioned to think a certain way. That's why I think it is so important and powerful to turn off the news if you're somebody that firmly believes in whatever side it is, you know, legacy media, or if you're going to social media and that's where you're, you know, getting all of your facts and whatnot. I think it's so important to turn it off. check in with the world, see what's going on, but go to like independent podcast, independent journalism is covering these things that's just not biased like, you know, a CNN would be or a Fox News would be. I mean, you can watch those too just to see how much they oppose each other. It's funny because when you watch both sides, you get to see the narrative on each side, their agenda, and like what they're trying to push. But getting back to my original point is like turning off the news every once in a while, turning off your phone, turning that shit off, you know, just spending time with yourself, like not being wrapped up in your phone, you know, this digital age that we live in. And I think at that time, what you'll find is you will start to think differently. You will be able to critical think. Like, why is critical thinking or like having a thought process of your own, like, why is that outlawed nowadays? Why is that demonized? Well, because it's a major threat to the power structure of the elites all across the globe, that if people started seeing what was actually going on, actually thinking for themselves, actually asking the proper questions, that their power structure would slowly start to unfold. This is why I say so many times in, say, like a political, societal, cultural sense, is that when we are constantly divided, you know, mainly I feel like at this point we're very artificially divided. If we're divided all of the time, these people above us that run the globe, that are the most powerful people, the most rich people, heads of governments, like all of that stuff, that's why they win and we lose, because we keep giving into the stupid fucking division, the artificial division. Like, we're gonna have our disagreements, but like fundamentally, most people agree on the same things or the same principles. And so, yeah, I think that critical thinking and free thinking is definitely outlawed, and it's not encouraged. And, you know, I see this inside of myself, and I see this in other people, is that they're so afraid to rock the boat. They're so afraid to have somebody get angry or mad at them if they say something that's deemed as like controversial. But like what Brian Garris is saying in this line, you know, Garris is talking about someone who just mindlessly agreed with him and constantly changed themselves to seem more agreeable. We all hate being around people like that. I don't know. I guess maybe some people enjoy that because that feeds their ego if the person is constantly agreeing with them. But it's like, it's not healthy to be around that person because you don't know the real version of that person that you're being around, because you can't see it, right? So how could you trust this person? They're like a yes man, a yes woman. It's so important to develop critical thought, to be able to think things through, to think about things logically. And, you know, whatever is being fed down our throats when it comes to propaganda and conditioning, you can take a step back or 3 steps back and say, that's fucking bullshit. I know that's probably not what he's talking about, but being around somebody who mindlessly is agreeing and definitely doesn't have a thought process of their own. In the pre-chorus, so it's Brian Garris and Isaac Hale, I don't care that you hate yourself. Then we go to the chorus. It's also Brian Garris and Isaac Hale. Hi, this is the part where it's like, Hive Mind. And then it goes, bite your tongue, change your face, Hive Mind. Make sure the costume will stay in place. Hive Mind. No heart behind the way you feel. Hive Mind. Line them all up for me to kill. Then it goes to verse 2, Denzel Curry. This is where he makes his entrance. Brian Garris as well. What the fuck? Watch as everybody follow the leader. Hollow, semi-heater, you sleepy hollow. When you swallow the Nina 9mm, when you think for yourself, hey, go for the headshot. I'm number one with the bullet. You get a red dot. What the fuck. Backed against the Mac. You're packed in caskets. Fuck your favorite band and favorite rapper. You don't want to get it because I don't give a fuck. I don't know. So kind of what he said in there, Denzel Curry said, is like, when you think for yourself, hey, go for the headshot. I mean, that's kind of what I was just saying, right? I mean, you guys might disagree with me, but think of a person like Charlie Kirk. Whether you liked him whether you agreed with him, whether you disagreed, whether you disliked, if you hated him for his political stances, the man definitely thought for himself in large part, and he was doing one of the most democratic republic things to ever do. At least in part of our system here in America, built on free speech, is he's like, hey, I have my views. I've done the research. I've backed myself up with ammunition. Can you come out here and debate me, and can you defend your position? Now, obviously, we still don't know the full details of what happened and how that was organized. But if you really think that this Tyler Robinson kid got into a position to take out Charlie Kirk, may be the case, but you really think that it was just him that was acting this way? Like, that whole situation to me feels coordinated. So what happens to a guy that's thinking for himself? He becomes a threat, right? He has such a massive following. Charlie Kirk has a massive following, especially amongst young Americans, the youth, 30 years and younger, and maybe just slightly over 30 years. I'm not saying that he is the sole reason that Donald Trump won the 2024 presidential election, but I think Charlie Kirk was a big reason why, because of his influence that he had on the younger generation. And so, again, we call them the powers that be. That sounds conspiratorial, but I don't necessarily know who these names are. I just know that, like, they don't want unity. They don't want people that are free thinkers. Like Charlie, yes, like, okay, he was on the right. He was conservative. He was Republican, but a lot of his views are just like common sense, right? It's not like he was far right. Like, to me, Charlie Kirk was not an extremist in the slightest. I have heard ideas from other people on the internet, maybe that are far right, that are way more extreme than what Charlie was saying. So if you think that that man is extreme, then you got to go do your homework and you got to rethink what your definition is of extremism, because Charlie Kirk was not that. But, what Denzel Curry is saying, when you think for yourself, hey, go for the headshot. I mean, look at, I think I can think of two examples. JFK was probably one of those once-in-a-generation presidents who was unifying and was trying to do something different and was trying to challenge the power structure. And what happened to him? He got shot. I also think of Martin Luther King Jr. All he did in a very nonviolent way, through protesting, through speeches, through basically the way that it should be done, right? He preached a unifying message. And again, the power structures that are being upheld right now, the people that are in these powerful positions all across the globe in our government, they cannot have unity. So they take out a guy like Martin Luther King Jr. because he was trying to bring everybody together. He was one of those voices saying, like, hey, I don't care what the color of your skin is. I don't care what your race is. I'm going to judge people based on the content of their character. Like, who are you as a person? Are you a good person? Are you a bad person? Are you an evil person? Are you trying to redeem yourself from bad past decisions that you made? So you look at all of these examples, and maybe when I use those two, people once again are going to disagree with me, but we're not fed the truth at all. There's so much propaganda. There's so many lies that we have to sift through. It's one of the good things about the internet and what it has provided is that, like, now you can go back, you can do your research, you can get alternative opinions, and there's a back channel of communication known as the internet and social media, where we can in real time, in real life time, fact check these things, but people have become so lazy that they just don't want to dig, or they don't want to look at alternative opinions, because then they have to look at themselves, they have to question themselves, and they have to say, am I wrong? Is the whole basis of my thinking, the founding of my thinking, is it predicated on a lie? Is it wrong? That's a hard question to ask yourself, not only to ask, but also potentially to be like, admit to yourself that you were wrong, that you were being boozled, that you were lied to. I mean, why is it that in the world right now, I really think of in America, in this country that I live in, is like people are not allowed to change their minds or to change their opinion. It's like, what the fuck do you mean? I'm going to respect somebody more that, like, let's say if they were like on the far left and they lived that way for, 10 plus years. And then all of a sudden they started to question things. And then all of a sudden they started listening to the other side. And then they started listening to people that were in the middle, that were logical and were making a bunch of sense. And essentially ripping apart the far left's ideology. And so then that person that used to be far left, they start to come over a little bit more. Not that they become like far right, but just that they come over from the far left, from the insane far left ideology. I'm going to listen to that person as opposed to somebody that's on one side religiously and votes on that side without asking any questions. Like I've said so many times on here, I voted for Donald Trump in 2020. I voted for him in 2024, but I'm still very critical of the man. And I will tell you the things that I don't like about Donald Trump and the things that he's currently doing in this second term that I don't like. And I think that's healthy. Why is it that we see like on the internet, which it could be a lie because there's a lot of things on the internet that are just fucking fake, but like this is what happens in the parties and on the sides is like, if you're part of the far left and you start to move away, everybody that on the far left, like all of a sudden they're going to fucking hate you, and they're going to call you psychotic. It's like you're evolving your thought process. That is how the human experience should be. We are allowed to change our minds. We do not have to stay. Think about if you kept the mindset that you had when you were 18 years old, when you were 17 years old, when I was 16 years old. If I'm still thinking right now, I'm almost 29. If I'm thinking right now at almost 29, the same way that I was at 18, I think everybody around me that knows me would be very worried for me. Like, oh my God, like Cole hasn't changed since I last saw him in high school when we were graduating. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, evolve your thought process. Like, I used to not care about these issues, politics, societal issues, cultural issues. And then in 2020, everything changed. My whole thought process changed. And once you see something for how it actually is, you can't unsee it. You cannot unsee the truth. It's like the veil and the curtain and the blinds come open and now you're like, oh my God, like I see the light. And, we should encourage that in people and we should not tear them down for that. Anyways, I'm going on so many rants with these lyrics. We go to verse 3. It's still Denzel Curry and Brian Garris. Everybody want a dick ride. When you don't follow the trend, you get crucified. Bro, I swear, I read a verse, I talk about this shit, what I think about, and then like in the next verse, I'm confirmed on what I just said. That's essentially what I was just talking about. When you don't follow the trend, when you don't follow the side, when you don't abide to it 100%, you get crucified. Now you're on the outside. Now you're the outcast. Now they want to tear you apart. Like this labelism of getting stuck on a side. Again, it doesn't just have to be reserved to politics. Although that's where we see it a lot. But like black, white, gay, straight, whatever, man, woman. It's like, oh my God, holy shit. There's nuance in a lot of areas in life. Got you leaning on the one side when you lean the other way. It's social suicide. Backed against the Mac. You're packed in caskets. Fuck your favorite band and favorite rapper. I ain't asked for shit. And you ain't asked for, I do not care at all. Then it goes back to the pre-chorus, then it goes back to the chorus. I'm just going to read some notes on verse 3 here. If someone doesn't jump on the current bandwagon, they get made fun of and looked down on for being different. Yeah, I mean, I think in our current world, in society, culture, I think it is healthy that if you see everybody going in one direction, essentially the hive mind, I think it's safe to say that you should go in the opposite direction. I do not want to be a follower. I do not want to jump on a trend. I take pride in being different and having a different mentality and approaching things differently. It's basically just like go out there and operate with authenticity, because that's the best way to meet people. If you're being authentic about who you truly are, you're going to meet the right people in life. It's just crazy. I talk about these lyrics and then it's basically reinforced in the next verse. Everything that I said is coming to fruition on this song. Then there's the breakdown. Denzel Curry, Isaac Hale, Brian Garris. Jump when they say jump. Stomp when they say stomp. Run when they say run. Sorry, bitch, I ain't no pawn. I don't care at all. When I say stomp, you gon' motherfucking stomp, bitch. When I say jump, you gon' motherfucking jump, bitch. Jump, jump, blah. Suffer in the hive mind. Then there's the outro, kind of saying the same things. Yeah, dude, what else is there to say? I mean, that was a good song. I could take this song and I could listen to it while I'm in the gym and just fucking jam out. But even if, like I said, these artists, Knock Loose and Denzel Curry, if they're not meaning for it to come down to something that could be labeled as those core three elements of politics, society, and culture, it kind of feels like it goes that way. Like, that's just my interpretation. I don't know if it's healthy to look through that lens of everything, because I don't want to be like ultra consumed with all of this stuff, but like, this is what we're going through right now in America. This is what we're going through right now in the world. You know, all the stuff here recently with the Epstein files that will potentially get dropped, you know, to the fullest. And it's going to take accountability from the people, the American citizens, to, step up and completely rewrite the course of history, because where we're at right now, we're not headed down a good path. I don't see it as us, heading down a good path right now. We have to rework the way things are done, and it's going to take courage from a lot of people. And to basically the context of this entire song, like, if you're afraid to speak up, if you're part of the hive mind, I mean, I can understand why you don't see things clearly, because you don't realize that you're basically in a trance right now. But for the people that do see it differently, but they're just afraid to speak up, it's like, hey man, like, courage is such a strong and powerful thing. And once you do it and other people see that you're doing it, it's going to encourage those people to speak up. I look at courage as something that is akin to starting a wildfire. Don't get me wrong, I've had my moments in my life where it's like I felt super courageous. I felt like I didn't care what people thought about me, and then I would sort of relapse to an older way of thinking, giving into the insecurities and being scared of like what the thought police were doing. When we talk about thought police, I think I've talked about this idea on the channel, like basically, and a lot of people could relate to it, but the thought police is like, you have this thing that you want to say, things you want to talk about, but like in your head, it's like your own thought process, your own internal dialogue stops you from doing it because you're afraid of the backlash that you may get. But it's like getting to that place on a consistent basis and rewiring and changing your identity is so healthy for that freedom that will come on the other side, because then you will start to basically teach yourself that, like, yeah, I can say whatever, man. I mean, obviously operate in context, right? Like, I got to be careful sometimes when I'm at work. Like, I like to cuss, but like I have to be selective sometimes as to when I'm doing it, right? Like, it's Friday morning and I'm teaching a class of old ladies and we do a circuit called senior social. It's like, I'm not going to cuss in that setting because I know that generation, these old ladies, like, they're probably not receptive to it. Like, it's not a good place to do it. So sometimes you read the room, but I'm saying in large part, like, do not be cowardice, because this theme of the elites that we're talking about, the people that run the world globally, this whole thing that's going on with Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein was connected to so many different people, and you guys have to know, right, that he existed for a reason. He came to be and then became an asset of the CIA, potentially the FBI, all of these different organizations, government, different administrations, because this guy had dirt on so many people. So for these certain powers around the world, celebrities, major people of influence, they go to Epstein's island and they get themselves in some type of trouble. There's cameras everywhere on that island that, okay, now Jeffrey Epstein, he's got the power. He can blackmail these people if they don't stay in alignment with what he's proposing. And if he's working with other agencies, the government, now they also have access to that. Like, they have to play ball to him, but the other people that are compromised also have to play ball, or else, they're fucking done. Their career is over. And, for all of these people, I'm so sick and tired, because people are trying to say, Donald Trump is in these files and it shows that he's guilty. It's like, so far with the files that have been released, Donald Trump's name, yes, is mentioned in the files. But if you guys actually read through the files, there's no criminal behavior that appears to have been done by Donald Trump. At least everything that Donald Trump has said about the Epstein situation seems to be true with what's come out in the files. Basically, just because you know somebody, just because you took pictures with somebody, does not mean that you are guilty because of that association of being around that person at that time. As the story goes, what Donald Trump has said, and you guys can go look this up on the internet, is that yes, Donald Trump knew Jeffrey Epstein, was around him however many times. There was a time, whatever year it was, where Epstein was in Mar-a-Lago, and Donald Trump got word of what Epstein was doing, and he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago, and then basically tried to turn the guy in, let the intelligence agencies know what this guy was all about. So I see these people like screaming, oh my God, look, Donald Trump is in the files. It's like, are you actually reading the content and the context of what is actually in the files? It shows me that a lot of people don't fucking do that whatsoever. So I digress. I go on so many rants, but that's what makes up, this is the genetic makeup of this channel. I think it's something that I do very well. You may call it a rant, a venting session, but it all makes sense, and it all has to be said, and it all has to flow together. And I'm just trying to paint the picture for people. I think, if anything, what I serve on here, doing music reactions, my commentary, stuff that's going on in the world, politics, whatever, is I am an illustrator, trying to tie all of these things together. And then hopefully, with the amount of subscribers that I have, the people that do watch my videos, listen to my podcast, if there's any type of impact any type of positive impact that I can put on the world, hopefully it would be geared and centered towards changing the situation that we're currently going through right now. So that's what I hope to do. Guys, I'm at the end here. It's 5:13. We're here in Iowa, and today it's over 60 degrees. I'm supposed to hit a leg workout today, and I haven't hit it just yet. Like, the sun is still out, starting to go down a little bit. I have my penny board with me in my truck, and I really want to go ride my penny board. It's like that's like cardio, right? Because you're like pushing, but it could also be a leg workout, like, because you're pushing with your legs. I don't know. I might have to count that as a leg workout if I can go for 45 minutes. But I've been so disciplined here recently, doing my thing. I don't know. We'll see how it pans out. Guys, to close out the video, you know what to do. I ask that you do 4 things. You don't have to do all 4, but please do one of the 4. Especially if you came over, you watched it. If you're doing strictly audio, you listen to it and you enjoy the content. You're like, this is valuable. This is entertaining. Like, whatever, you know. If it wasn't a waste of your time, do me a solid. Do one of the 4 things. Subscribe to the channel, to the podcast. Like the video. Comment in the comment section below, or share the message on social media, or you can do it in person around other people. It's the value exchange over here, that if I provide value, you guys help me in growing my message, my channel, etc. And basically those 4 ways are some of the greatest ways that you can do it. So anyways, guys, take care. I will see you on the next reaction or whatever it turns out to be. I hope you guys have a blessed week. Thank you so much. Love you. Take care.